On January 14, 1943, in the frozen ruins of the Eastern Front, a German soldier stepped out of the snow without a weapon. His rifle was frozen solid. His fingers were numb. Around him, bodies lay locked in ice, men who had simply sat down and never stood back up. Temperatures had dropped below -30 degrees. After days without food and nights without shelter, his unit was gone. Some were dead, others had vanished into the blizzard. When Soviet soldiers appeared through the white fog, he raised his empty hands and walked forward, fully expecting to be shot. Instead, he was taken prisoner. On that day, surrender didn't mean disgrace, it meant survival. On February 19, 1943, in the rocky valley of Kasserine Pass, Tunisia, an American soldier realized his army wasn't ready. German tanks thundered through U.S. positions, radio lines were cut, and orders never came. Smoke filled the pass as shells landed without warning. Officers disappeared. Vehicles burned. With his ammunition gone and nowhere left to run, the soldier threw away his helmet and pressed himself into the dirt among the dead. For hours he didn't move, even when tanks rolled past. When night fell, he crawled away. The battle was a defeat, but it forced the U.S. Army to change, and he lived because he chose stillness over heroics. On July 7, 1944, on the island of Saipan in the Pacific, a wounded Japanese soldier hid beneath thick jungle leaves as American troops advanced. He had been taught that surrender was shameful, worse than death. His unit had been wiped out in a matter of hours. Bleeding and weak, he drank rainwater and chewed leaves to survive. For 3 days he didn't move, listening to footsteps, gunfire, and shouted commands. On the 4th night, shaking and barely able to stand, he stepped out unarmed. Against everything he believed, surrender saved his life. On September 8, 1943, an Italian soldier woke up to discover the war had changed overnight. Italy had surrendered to the Allies. German troops, once allies, now stormed Italian positions, disarming soldiers at gunpoint. Some were beaten, others were loaded onto trains bound for labor camps. This soldier fled into the hills with nothing but the clothes he wore. He hid in abandoned farms, survived on scraps, and avoided both armies. When the war ended, he returned home alive, but everything he believed about loyalty and honor had been destroyed. On October 15, 1941, during the early months of Operation Barbarossa, a Soviet Red Army private joined thousands of prisoners marching west. He had no shoes, no food. Anyone who fell was shot. Disease spread fast. At night, bodies were piled like logs. When fever finally hit him, he collapsed and pretended to be dead. He lay still for hours, surrounded by corpses, until darkness came. Then he crawled away into the forest. He survived a system designed to kill him simply by refusing to move. On February 15, 1942, in Singapore, a British infantryman stood in silence as officers burned documents and smashed radios. Japanese forces had surrounded the city. Ammunition was gone, water was running out. When the surrender order came, more than 80,000 Allied troops laid down their weapons. It was the largest surrender in British military history. The soldier survived the battle, but captivity would test him in ways combat never did. On April 20, 1945, near Berlin, a 16-year-old German boy stood shaking beside a road with a single anti-tank weapon. He had been pulled from school and placed into the Volkssturm. His instructor was already dead. American tanks rolled closer, engines roaring. The boy knew he wouldn't survive firing the weapon. He dropped it and ran. Desertion could mean execution, but he chose life. Weeks later, the war was over. Running away saved him. Across all fronts, on different dates and continents, soldiers reached the same breaking point. By May 7, 1945, as Germany officially surrendered, millions had already lost everything: friends, homes, beliefs, and nations. Those who survived didn't always do so by fighting harder. Many survived by letting go, by surrendering weapons, by choosing life over pride. Because in World War II, survival wasn't always about victory. Sometimes, it was about knowing when to stop fighting. Which of these true stories affected you the most, and should we tell more real survival stories from World War II? Let me know in the comments.